This video tutorial will show you how to make a multi-view drawing in Inventor. So once I have all of my parts created, I can turn them into drawings. There is a file new drawing, but I don't want you to use the default one that comes with Inventor because there are some problems with the size. I've created my own, and it's always available in my shared folder. So we're not going to use this standard.idw file, which is what we would normally use. I've created my own that you can use. And you will find that in the shared folder. It's called Drawing Template. So if you open that up, and you can double click on it from the shared folder or open it from Inventor. And let me resize. So this is what that template looks like. In the drawing window, I can hold down my middle mouse button and move this around, or I can roll my mouse wheel to zoom in or out. This thing at the bottom is called a title block, and the way that I can access that and add my own data to it is I just plus sign over here on Weber Training, and then I double click on the field text, which will open up this window, and then I can just type in whatever I want. Project name is Puzzle Cube. The important thing is that you really have your name on there. The rest of it is optional, and you can see that that automatically adds that information right there. And so with many things in Inventor, I want to start with the leftmost option here in my ribbon. I'll click on Base, and depending on whether I have something open or not, if the parts are already open in Inventor, they'll be available here in this file list. If not, I'll have to click on Open an Existing File and go and find the part myself. Once I have that, let me move that out of the way slightly. You'll see that when I move my mouse down here to the page, that I can see an example of what that base view will be. And the base view is always going to be the front view, which is the bottom left-hand view. And depending on this orientation, I never want to choose a 3D view for my first view, but I can choose top, bottom, left, right, and this will be dependent on how it was originally created. And it looks like to me the front view will be the best one. So whatever they considered the front is what I will also consider the front. And I can just click here on the page in that bottom left-hand corner. And then from there, all I need to do is I just project my other views. So I come up to the top view, I click that top view, I click the side view, it puts a box down in every location, and then in the top right-hand corner when I click, it creates an isometric, which is just there to look nice. And when I have all three of those other views clicked, I can right-click and choose Create, and that will turn those into working parts. Now, notice that a little red box appears whenever I mouse over these. If I click on that red box, I can move it, and all of the different views move together so that they stay aligned. I want to leave a little bit of space around the edge for a margin, and I want to leave some space between the parts so that I can dimension it. If I double click here, I can get back to mainly the thing I can change here is the scale. So right now a 1:1 scale, it being the exact size of the original part, works perfectly for this, but if I need to make that bigger or smaller, if I put in a bigger number than 1, so if I say 2, that's twice as big, 4 is 4 times as big, 0.5 would be half as big, so I can change the scale there. If I double click on the red box around the isometric view, I'll want to do this because I can turn on shaded right here, and that will shade that view. And sometimes we make the isometric a little bit smaller, so I might say 0.8 because we don't dimension the isometric. It's just there mostly to inform you what the part will look like when it's finished. So I'm almost done here. The last thing I want to do is dimension this, and I can do that by pressing D, or I can go to Annotate up here in the ribbon, and a dimension is one of my annotations. You can't see it because my screen is so small, but D will do the same thing. And with D, I can either click on the line I want and then drag it out, just like in when we were creating our parts. Notice that when I get a certain distance away, it snaps. That's the correct distance for the dimension. And then each additional one is for more than one dimension on top of each other. So I can click on this first one. This will pop up initially. If I uncheck this, it won't pop up again. If I want to do the distance between two parts or two lines, I just click on both of those lines, and as long as they're parallel to each other, I'll get the total distance. And right now we're not focused too much on dimensioning correctly. The important thing is that you try to just dimension completely. So I want you to try to make sure that you have all of the information on there. If you had to make this thing, what would you need to know? And you'll have to dimension that. Now, the most common mistake that I see in this first one is this. If you have the same distance being dimensioned on more than one view, so this is the width here, 1.5, but I'm also getting that same width up here, 1.5, you don't need both of them. And the way that you can move or delete a dimension is you have to hit escape so that you're not in the dimension tool anymore. And I can pick up any of these, I can move them, I can adjust where the number is, but I only need one of these. I don't need to do the same thing twice. And so it doesn't matter which one I get rid of. I can just click delete on my keyboard and it will delete it. And I'll go through here and make sure that I have, so I need to know how tall it is to here and also how tall it is altogether. Notice if you click on, when you're in the dimension tool, there's a little green dot that appears to let you know that you're in the middle. If you click on that, it doesn't work. It doesn't let you dimension, so you need to make sure that you click somewhere where that stupid green dot doesn't show up. And then I'll do the depth here. And once you feel pretty good about it, we'll go more into depth on dimensioning later. But once you feel like that's pretty good, there's two things that I'll want you to do. The first one is you'll want to save this on your H drive. This is an IDW file, and this is specifically for the drawing. And so I would probably put it in your Puzzle Cube folder and call it part, whatever part number it is, drawing, or whatever your naming convention is. But I would put the word drawing in the file name as well as the fact that the type of file it is an IDW. You'll also want to, so it usually asks, do you want to make sure all of the files in the sequence are saved? It's looking at the original part and the assembly and all those other things as well. I also want to export, so I come up here to the I choose Export Image. And this will allow me to save a JPEG of that same thing, which I can use in my presentation later. The PowerPoint doesn't accept the IDW files, but it does accept JPEGs. And so that's how you do drawings. You would do one of those for each part, and then you'll be set.